Greetings, YouTube. The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And we are doing another series of our feat reviews. We're going to be, in this video today, we're going to be doing two feat reviews. We're going to be reviewing Inspiring Leader, the Legacy version of the 2024 version, and we're going to be doing Keen Mind, the Legacy version and the 2024 version. And in the thumbnail, I asked, is the 2024 version better, or which one is better? We're going to be looking at that, and we're also going to be grading them because I didn't grade feats before. But first, hey guys, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment if you have a comment. All right, so let's talk about Inspiring Leader, Legacy version. I always like this feat. It was pretty good. If you recall, in Campaign 1 of Critical Role, Keyleth had this feat. It was used all the time, and it was actually very powerful because they were pretty high-level characters, and by the time she got it, she was, I think, 14th level. And they always were getting temporary hit points off of this. So you spend 10 minutes, you inspire your companions. There's some role play that happened, and Marisha Ray was able to role play out her speech, and then you shore up their resolve. When you do so, you choose up to 6 friendly creatures. You can include yourself. So you got a party of 7, and it's not really going to work out for one person. So within 30 feet, who can see and hear you and understand you, and then each creature gains temporary hit points equal to your level, plus your charisma modifier. I think she was plunking down something like 17 to 20 temps every time she did this. And a creature can gain these temporary hit points after finishing a short or long rest. So that's the kicker, is basically every hour you could throw these extra hit points out. That's essentially what they are. They don't really, temporary hit points don't really go away until they're either taken away by damage or you do a long rest. So you could replace whatever you got, and they come off first. So temps are always great. I always love temporary hit points. There's a number of different sources of temporary hit points. There's temporary hit points that come from the Artificer. There's temporary hit points that come from the Twilight Cleric. And those are steady sources. This is a steady source of temporary hit points. Warlocks have all kinds of ways of getting temporary hit points. So if you have this feat and you have other ways of giving out temporary hit points to yourself or your companions, or you have other people in your adventuring party that can give out temporary hit points, all the better, all the great. For this one, because it can be used so often, I gave this one an A-. Now, let's look at the 2024 version. And this one had a prerequisite of a charisma of 13 or higher. So there was not a lot of these legacy feats had prereqs, but this one did. Now, this one you could take at first level, but as we see with a lot of the 2024 feats, you can't. So this one has prereqs of level 4, wisdom or charisma of 13. So now it's not just tied to charisma, it's tied to wisdom or charisma. Okay, let me move the arrow away from this because we're going to do the grade last. So this one is very similar, but there are a few differences. One, you get an ability bump. So you can't use it till 4th level. That's the drawback. The other one you could use at 1st level in some circumstances. This one's not till 4th level, but it has a prereq of charisma or wisdom, which is good. And this one gives ability bump of wisdom or charisma. So that, in my book, from a power gaming min-max stance, I know some of you don't like that. I am a power gamer and a min-maxer. I do like that. I think that's great. That is standard for a lot of these feats. Not every single feat in the 2024, but a lot of them. So gives a bump, and you still have the bolstering performance, which is, so these are, this doesn't really bulletize. There's one bullet here, kind of, but it essentially does the same thing. That's another thing. The format changed of all the feats, and they gave titles to all of the abilities and all the feats. So When you finish a short or long rest, you can give an inspiring performance. Again, they define it out a little bit more, but you can role play through it. Marisha Ray did a speech of some kind, a speech, a song, a dance, whatever. When you do so, choose up to 6 allies, which include yourself. So this says allies, and this says 6 friendly creatures. So they're defining allies. And they have to witness the performance. It doesn't say they have to understand you. It just says they have to witness the performance. So that's another difference here, is that the old one said they have to see you or hear you and understand you. This just says they have to witness the performance. So they don't have to understand you. The chosen creatures, so they use this word, creatures, and then they use the word allies. So I'm not sure that's consistent, but the chosen creatures each gain temporary hit points equal to your level plus the ability modifier you increased with this feat. So no longer is it just tied to charisma with the prereq. It is tied to, like it is in the old one with the legacy, it's tied to charisma or wisdom, which you can bump by 1. And it's the same as the other one. Your level plus your modifier. And again, that didn't really change. So if you're getting this at a higher level, it gives out a lot of temporary hit points. So what do I give this? Even though you can't take it until 4th level, I still give this one an A. I think it is a source of very steady temporary hit points. I mean, it's going to be a bank of temporary hit points just about every encounter. Maybe every other encounter. Gives the bump. They don't have to understand you. So I think it's all great. And especially if you combine this with other people in your party that can also do temporary hit points, like the Twilight Wizard or the Artificer. And everybody having all these temp hit points for a DM can kind of get annoying. Okay, the other feat that we're going to talk about today is Keen Mind. So the legacy version of Keen Mind gave you no prereqs, so you could take this one at 1st level. The flavor of it was you had a mind that can track time, direction, and detail with uncanny precision. I really think they meant uncanny accuracy, but precision means to be the same every single time. Accuracy means to be correct. So, unless they meant that you can do the same thing the same way every single time. But I digress. So you get a bump to your intelligence of 1. You always know which way is north. That seems like accuracy. You always know the number of hours left before the next sunrise or sunset, so you're accurate in what time it is. And you can accurately, again, they actually use the word accurate, recall anything you have seen or heard within the past month. That is like a photographic memory. Those are all kind of flavor, but again, I'll talk about Critical Role. Liam O'Brien, the character of Caleb, had that. Caleb Widowgast had this. He had this feat, and he used it a lot. Multiple times a game. He could tell what time it was, could tell what direction they were going. At least once every game, he would be able to say, I, Liam O'Brien, don't know, but my character has this keen mind, and he has a photographic memory, and he knows. So he could recall knowledge. Now, they have changed this feat. Now, what would I give this feat? I'd give it a solid B. There are other feats for intelligence-based characters that I might take that give a bump to intelligence. This gives you an increase to your intelligence, but it also gives you some kind of role-playing things. But for min-maxing and power gaming, there's some other things I might have taken instead of that. Okay, so the new Keen Mind now has 2 prereqs. The old one had no prereqs. Level 4 and an intelligence of 13 or greater. Okay? Still gives the intelligence bump. Increases your score by 1. Choose one of the following skills: Arcana, History, Investigation, Nature, or Religion. If you lack proficiency in the chosen skill, you gain it. And if you already have it, you have expertise in it. And then you get Quick Study, which is one of these new action types. So you can take the study action as a bonus action. I have no idea where this, if you guys have an idea of where you think you would use that particular action that you needed to do study as a bonus action versus an action, let me know. The only thing I could actually think of is if you needed to study something very quickly, and it was an active trap that was doing things every round and you needed actions. Like, I need to study how this thing works to turn it off or it's going to kill all of us. So now I can do it as a bonus action and then I can use my action to disable it. That's one of the instances I can think, but I don't think there's very many. So with this study action, you're making an intelligence check. And when you take the study action, you make an intelligence check to study your memory, a book, a clue, or another source of knowledge, and call to mind an important piece of information. And it's tied to those skills that were connected to the keen mind. So Arcana, History, Investigation, Nature, or Religion. And depending on what you're doing, it'll tell you. So if it's Arcana, it's spells, magic items, eldritch symbols, magic traditions, blah, blah, blah. For instance, Nature is terrain, flora, weather, certain creatures. I would say Nature, if we were comparing it to the old one, Nature would be the one that would give you this, know which way is north and know how many hours of the day it is. Maybe Investigation would give you hours of the day. Or, I guess you would have to justify it to your dungeon master and how you would tie it into one of these. I don't think Religion would really do that, but, it is what it is. So now it's more mechanical than it used to be. You get expertise in one of these. What do I think is the score for the new one? The old one allowed you to do multiple things. The new one just gives you training or expertise in something. I'm going to move this one down to a B-. I don't think it's as good as the old one. Would I take this one this time? Actually, I don't think this one would be too bad for maybe a rogue or somebody who was taking a couple levels in rogue who might be also a wizard who wanted to be able to figure out some arcane traps or investigation for some mechanical traps or something like that, because it gives you something extra. You get expertise in for a skill if you don't already have it, and it gives you that quick study if you need to do it, if there's a time crunch, and it gives you a small bump to your intelligence. So not that great. All right, that is what I have for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.